All right, in this video I'm going to attempt to make a cement planter, and I'm going to be using this from the Dollar Tree basket here. It was $1.25 for it to create the shape that I want to make here. So it's going to be obviously this deep, and what I'm going to do is I have some bags of sand. I'm going to moisten the sand up so that way I can kind of form it. I'm going to pack it in here first, put it upside down, and then remove the basket, and then we'll see how it stays together. And then I'm going to put a mortar mix over on top of that to make the planter. That way, if all goes well, I'll be able to reuse this to make other ones going forward. So I have this mix of sand. It's like beach sand that I use for hurricane preparation, so it is kind of a dirty sand where it's got rock mix in it as well, but it's very dry. So I'm going to put it in a bucket, moisten it down, that way it can be formed into some shape. So we'll see how that works. All right, so I put some water in the bottom of the bucket, and I'm going to just take the bag of sand and dump it in there. Let the sand absorb the water. There's a lot of rocks in this mix, so we'll see how it works. But if you just got regular bags of sand from the hardware store, that would work better. But I'm just working with what I got. See, just by if it kind of takes the shape when you go to form it. Does it pack down or does it collapse? So I think this is probably about a good mix. So I'm just kind of testing it out to see if it makes a form when I squeeze it. I think it's pretty good. We'll give it a shot, see how it does. If anything, I'll just add more water. If this does work out, then that'll be great, because the sand can be reused multiple times for doing multiples of these. It's my first time doing this kind of project, so we'll just see how it's going to turn out. Not necessarily geared for holding 5 to 10 pounds of sand in it, but we'll see how durable it is. Hopefully I can flip it upside down without having too much problems. So I just made a makeshift table with some plywood and a garbage bag on top here. All right, so let's see. Let's give this a shot. This is gonna be a disaster. I already know it. Let's see. Let's see if we can just do it real quick. All right, let's see if it worked. Okay, not bad. I'll kind of just shore up the walls. Because technically all the concrete's gonna, or the mortar is just gonna go right over on top of this, as I just blew out the corner there. All right, I don't think that's too bad for the first attempt. I'm going to now mix up some mortar, and then we'll pour it on top of here and see how it does. All right, so I got 2 buckets here. One, I'm gonna put the mortar in to mix it up. Another bucket I'm gonna have just water to be able to put the mixer in when I'm done mixing. So I'm just gonna start with a little bit of water in the bottom of here. This is gonna be for the mortar mix. That way there won't be anything dry in the bottom. It's not gonna take much. Mix I'm using, it's a mortar / stucco mix. The thing that's important with this one is it does not have like any of the rock granules in there, so it's gonna be more of a smooth surface of it. And plus too, I'm not doing it very thick either, so this is gonna be great just for this application. Last clip, I added the mortar here. Now I'm getting ready to mix it. I have a rigid, it's like a mud mixing drill. This is my first time using this, but I'm gonna be doing many projects with this, so I decided it was worth getting to do different cement projects as well as tile projects. So this is the type of blade I'm using to be able to mix it. basically press around inside the bucket to kind of get the water stirred around, and just start off slowly. Add just a little bit more water. Needs to be somewhat firm, but still kind of soft where it's definitely workable. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. We'll give it a shot. Then once you're done with the mixer, then you put it in the clean bucket of water. And then stir it up. That way it comes out nice and clean. Of course, I've seen other people's videos and they use like a salad bowl and a spoon to mix up the mix. And also, it seems to be like a lot of the videos. I don't know if you've seen any other videos doing these, but it seems like it's mandatory to wear flip-flops, which I forgot to wear mine today. Normally, I am wearing flip-flops, but anyways, let's give it a shot and see how it does. You want it to be like kind of like a creamy consistency. I'm going to start off on the around the base. Well, it might be a little bit too wet. We'll see. The other thing is too is that this sand will suck the moisture out of the mortar, so that's another factor. It doesn't necessarily have to be all that pretty on the inside where the sand is currently at, because it's going to be covered up with planting soil. It's going to be used as a pot. I'm just using a little 5" by 2" margin trowel. So you'll see that you want at least this dry. You don't want it real soupy, because otherwise it will just flop over and down. Of course, this is the original corner here that blew out, so I'm having a little bit of problems with that one. When you're working with the trowel, you kind of use it as an angle, at an angle, and just work your way up. You don't want to like dig into it and cut with the other front edge along here. So you're just kind of working it, smoothing it out. And periodically it gets gunked up like this, so you want to wipe it off or dip it in water. So you're always working with a clean edge. I did let it set up some, and I got a larger trowel to kind of do some finishing touches with, to kind of just smooth it all out evenly. I'll just do that on each of the sides. Which I could tell I need to add some on this corner. I don't know if you see, I made like a little blob of leftover sand over here, so I'll use the excess amount to make like a little rock or something out of that. We'll see how that does. Just adding another layer here because it was thin on this corner. So far I'm happy with the way it's turning out. Doesn't take much pressure, just lightly skimming it. And you can kind of look down the blade along the edge down the bottom. You're dragging it at an angle, and you can kind of see where there's like a little bit low dips, like, so that's why I'm kind of working it a little bit more. This probably would have been ideal to use it at the beginning. Yeah, definitely as I'm applying pressure, I can see there's like movement in it, so just be careful. As you drag up, you kind of want to round the corners off a little bit, like the bottom part. All right, this is what it looks like right now. I'm just going to let it sit and dry overnight, and we'll see how it turns out tomorrow. It's bothering me a little bit right there. Again, it's not supposed to be perfect, so here's a little rock I made. All right, we'll test it out, see how it is tomorrow. All right, so I did change my mind. I'm going to go ahead and put in a hole in the bottom for drainage. And I just have a piece of 3/4 inch PVC pipe. And I'm going to run it right in the middle and kind of just slowly turn it into the should be sufficient. Yeah, that way I can plant whatever I want into it and then not have to worry that it won't drain. So good idea to do it if it is going to be used as a planter. All right, it's actually a couple days have passed now, so it's definitely dry now. So we'll see what it's like and how it turned out. So obviously I put a hole in here with the 3/4 inch pipe. You could do 1/2 inch or whatever size you want. And the thing that's great is that the sand can be reused for the next one, so that's nice. All right, here's what it looks like with the sand out of it. I will wash it out, but you can obviously see imperfections between like the wall thickness. This end's obviously like really thick. So I think that part of the beauty of doing it handmade is that it is imperfect. And I will kind of chisel out the bottom here because it kind of fluted out, so the water will be up to that point before it starts draining. Overall, I don't think it looks bad. What do you think? I'll wash it out, clean it up, and then you could do like a concrete sealer to seal it off. That way it won't be so porous and absorb water when you're watering a plant. And so that's user discretion if you want to do that or not. I will clean it up and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, I washed out the sand from this planter. That's what it looks like here on the bottom. It even has some of the leftover indentations from that dollar store basket. Overall, I think it turned out decent. Not bad for my first project like this, I don't think. And here's my little fake rock. I know it has like some harsh lines to it, but I wanted to kind of test out different techniques. This is it hollowed out with where the sand was at, so you can see how you could use it to either hide something underneath there or hide something that's sticking out of the ground, like maybe electrical box or something that's in the ground but unsightly, something to cover it up with. Can do something like this, so that's not bad. And this was the excess mortar from doing this, remember, so obviously I mixed way too much mortar to begin with. Otherwise I would have had another project lined up ready to go to use the excess amount, which I didn't have. Anyways, let me know in the comments below what you think of it. So I'm lining the bottom with gravel that I happen to have already, and I found like a big piece to be able to cover up the hole to kind of help keep the soil in place. But yeah, it's not covering up totally to where it won't drain. Obviously probably 3/4 of an inch is probably too big of a hole to put. If you happen to have like some screen or something else you could put down beforehand, and then put like some gravel or the soil on top of that. That way it will still drain out, but it won't leak out the soil from the bottom then. So I'm just putting this layer down. This should be sufficient enough, I think, to allow for the drainage and then not lose the soil from it. All right, so here's the finished product, what it looks like. I had some flowers that were growing wild in my landscaping, so I was able to transplant these into the planter. I do plan on using this planter in the outside area. And as I mentioned earlier, it's up to you if you want to use like a cement sealer. I would recommend using a sealer if you're planning on using this planter on the inside of the house. That way it prevents it from leaking out or, you know, absorbing the water and then potentially getting out onto the table or wherever you have it at. But I'm going to be using this outside in the garden. I'm not going to do a sealer on it. So this is how it turned out. Obviously it is far from perfect. Now if you wanted something that would be perfect, that's when I'd recommend building an actual form for this, and then the form would be more accurate and true to how you build it, whereas this was just more free form and using the Dollar Tree basket as the form. And overall, I think being for my first project like this, it didn't turn out too bad. The base of it is a little bit narrower at one end, so it does wobble a little bit. So obviously it's far from perfect, and even like the finishing touches, there's like some imperfections to it, as well as the different thicknesses. But overall, I think for the amount of time that it took to do this, that wasn't bad at all, especially not having to build a form and just basically free-handing it on top of the sand. So the project cost, I figured it used about 6 pounds of the mortar mix, which comes to 72 cents just for the pot itself. And then the basket was $1.25 plus tax from the Dollar Tree. And then the sand, obviously I had for free, as well as the rock and soil. So all that would be extra, including the flowers and everything else you have involved with the project. But I just want to give you an idea on the cost of what it costs for this. If you liked this video and if it helped you, let me know in the comments below that it did, or if you have other tips and tricks to recommend to others, please share in the comments below. Now, if you like this video, I would appreciate it that you give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more of these DIY tips, tricks, and reviews. I really appreciate you watching, and have a great day.